you do like it.
I love it, yeah.
Now when you go pre-owned, you can enjoy the same feeling you get with a new Toyota. Tested and backed by Toyota.
Upgrade your car, mate.
This? Yeah, no big deal.
Toyota certified. Pre-owned in a class of its own. Oh, what a feeling. Toyota.
World of Outlaws Dirt Racing is available now. Download your copy today.
Well, round 3 of the SimRigs.com Oz Pro Am Sim Series is a wild card round here at Circuit Park Zandvoort. So we've put the GT3s and GT4s back in the shed. We got some different machinery this round to challenge our drivers. Circuit Park Zandvoort, of course, in the Netherlands. And a fantastic track it is for the racing that we are going to have tonight on SimSpeed TV. Thanks for joining us. David Haynes with Jay Kennedy. Well, for the Pass 2 division that comes up first, they find themselves in the Formula V tonight instead of GT4 cars. So they've lost a little bit of horsepower, but they've gained a bit of pack racing, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how they go in this battle that will unfold in this race, or in the races, I should say. There's 2 races for the drivers tonight, so it's going to be very, very cool to see how it plays out with a 10 and a 20-minute race in the Vs, and then when we get into the Pro-Am, we'll see them out there in the Gazoo Racing Toyota 86.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. So first qualifying laps coming in now from these Formula Vs in Pass 2. And they'll temporarily go to the top. But as you can see, this looks like it's very much going to be about who can find a dance partner. Because it is open qualifying in Formula Vs. And I think at a generous estimation, they might have 70 horsepower.
Yeah, so if you can find yourself a bit of track with a little bit of draft, you're going to get a huge advantage down that front straight. So don't be surprised to see drivers shuffling for position to try and time that last lap perfectly. The other part to remember is when when the clock hits 0, you don't get to finish a lap. So drivers will need to be aware of that throughout the racing, throughout qualifying tonight in both this class and the 86s when we see them out on track later. But it's a little bit of a gap between a few drivers at the moment, but I think that'll shuffle and change around over the next few minutes.
Yeah, it should. We've only seen the first attacking lap from our drivers to this point. So they'll have, at my estimation, probably about 4 more flying laps. Maybe 1 more after the one they're on at the moment. There's Brady Buchanan. There's someone spun in that section at the sort of far end of the track. Is sort of 2 hairpins back there, and then you get onto this little back straight, which can definitely be an overtaking opportunity, definitely be a slipstreaming opportunity. You come down into what they want you to believe is an S, and I really want to call a hairpin there with plenty of banking, but Brady Buchanan can't bank on that lap.
That's lap over, and he's going to have to work hard to try and find some space. He was in a good position too. He had a car that he was just getting a little bit of draft off. The car behind that he was helping. Not sure who that was behind him, but Hayden Veld here is helping. I believe that Seth Brown in behind him, but that's a decent lap there for Hayden Veld. It will improve his time, but not his position.
Sean Lacey has busted out the crayons, I think, for his Wildcard livery. So, yeah, you can play games in your own time and digest everything that's going on there.
There's written a number 1 on the front that says my real number, and then points to the number 1, and the 76 below that is his fake number, apparently. We don't mind some clever creativity, though, do we?
Drawn freehand.
Nothing like
And
an
it
MS
shows.
paint.
He's in an interesting spot here as well, though, with a couple cars up the road, and that can be positive because we'll definitely pick up a slipstream at multiple places around the track here from about that distance. But it does eventually start to get risky towards the end of the lap. You trip up on them, but if you've banked one clean air lap, then right about here you've got to start taking a bit of risk with the slipstream and who and where you follow. Oh, I think Seth Brown is on a really, really hot one as well right now, by the way.
Yeah, I think he is too. He might be one to watch here, although in saying that, Sean Lacey's just purple sectored that middle phase of the lap, but Seth Brown is getting that draft as well, so he might jump up the timing sheet here. Possibly in a big way.
That's a little off the circuit in front, but Seth Brown still perfectly placed for that slipstream. All the way to the timing line, up in 4th gear, revving the daylights out of it and almost getting to 160 kilometers an hour. Has Seth Brown managed to go top? No, he's managed to go second. Just 500ths short of Brady Buchanan at the moment. Veld loops it around in turn 1. It's clearly a big key to that lap time for Brown. It's Sean Lacey slots in between and Buchanan goes faster.
Cochrane going to finish his first flying lap, and it's not too bad a time. Gets him on the board and slots into 17th position, just ahead of Hayden Jackson. So Stuart Brown, the only driver yet to post an official lap time, out there on an out lap after his previous run got hampered. Robert McGrath's on a decent first sector at the moment, so we'll see if we can pick him up and see how this lap goes for him.
Yeah, indeed. Car 140 navigates the hills and dunes, and for what is a relatively flat country otherwise, this has got to be about half of their national elevation change here at Zandvoort. At the back end of the circuit now, where the track width varies a little bit, using all of it at that section, and then pointing it in towards this hairpin and the next, trying to flow the speed around, because again, you don't have a gargantuan amount of horsepower in these cars. I think I've seen speed trap speeds of about 160 k's an hour, which is, I've driven a race car faster than that, but what they do produce is great racing. Not dissimilar, I guess, in a way to Aussie racing cars, even though they've probably got twice this horsepower. Again, it's about the kind of style of racing and racecraft that they create rather than wowing lap times.
Yeah, I think, as you say, the racing is what makes this class a fantastic class to race and to watch. So, interesting. I've just been keeping one eye on the sector times while watching these laps, and Hayden Veld, after that spin, actually set a couple of purple sectors, so he's going to be on a very, very hot lap coming up in a second. So he's got a bit of red mist going on. He'll be trying to improve, as Robert McGrath does not improve, unfortunately, on his lap, but it did look good right at the start.
Got access to about 6 mini sectors around the lap to keep an eye on who's tracking well, and Jason Muscat is at the moment in 11th, but tracking with a lot of personal bests. No slipstream, but tidy in the final sector as we pick up Muscat. 1.4 seconds he was off the pole before that lap, and he goes and picks up a little over 3/10 as well to jump himself up into 9th. It's not the only KFC livery out there, and I'm surprised I don't have any of that for my dinner tonight, but maybe soon.
Well, Lacey obviously tucked up in under the wing of one of those KFC car in front. I can't quite see, but I think he's caught himself out. He might be a little bit too close. First part of the lap looked really strong, but he's way too close and it's hampered his run.
Brown and Muscat were the two that I saw, so don't know. Car number 5 is Paul Longworth. So maybe there's more. Another one of those inventive deliveries here, Hilton Booth in the Crayola. Seeing pencils, crayons, all sorts. Bathtubs for the Formula V. He's also got, actually, is a Daniel Ricciardo helmet. So probably doing more racing with that here this weekend than Albert Park.
Should be a good lap time here. We're to 2:01.7. Will that shoot him up 6th? Great lap.
The 007 normally an Aston Martin GT4, but now in the V, and yeah, that is
Messy.
Yeah, we saw that one building earlier, didn't we? Really caught up rapidly to a car that wasn't the same pace, and then it's always, there's a car behind back off and then try to find a different lap, or do they try to force their way through and almost inevitably ruin both qualifying laps for both cars. Did see a couple of drivers checking out that pit entry as well, didn't we? Which is a challenging one here, given it's got a little chicane in it. Not dissimilar to Alton Park, for example. You come in there really hot, chance you lock them up and you push wide into one of the walls.
Yeah, high probability of that, isn't there? So, see the pits be used later on. So that's why you're seeing drivers actually testing that out at the moment. So the last lap, they're actually coming in and making sure they understand how to get into the pits, because it is a difficult pit entry, as you said. In race 2, we will see everyone have to come in and make a little splash of fuel. Hayden Veld, I don't think he's going to jump up the timing sheet on this lap, although it doesn't look horrible, but it's just not... Well, now it definitely does look horrible. Definitely not going to improve.
Yeah, not with that. Chucks it out of the way of the cars behind, though. Jacques Swanepoel not tracking any personal bests or improvements so far this one around, and he's not going to get another lap after this. As you can see, 20 seconds left on the clock, and it is a hard cut at the end of the time limit to the end of this qualifying session. So that's a very generous pit entry.
Sure he doesn't completely butcher it.
And that's going to be time. And it'll lock in the grid for the first of 2 races for Pass 2. Tonight's simrigs.com Oz Pro-Am Sim Series proceedings. Going to get a not insignificant formation lap on this one. And we'll look at the grid. There you are. Pole sitter, Brady Buchanan, Sean Lacey in second, and Seth Brown and Hayden Veld on the next row, and it is going to be rows for what looks like a 2-wide rolling start. The row behind Stu Brown and Hilton Booth. If you're a 10-year-old, you can eat KFC, and if you're a 5-year-old, you can eat the Crayola. We've got Jacques Swanepoel and Sam Muir on the row behind that. Jason Bentz and Adam Hill Motion. Very retro looking livery on his V there. Liam Caplice and Jason Muscat 11th and 12th. Pat Gallo and Rob McGrath share a row behind, and Paul Longworth and Reese Ashmore for an all drive-through row. Sam Batsy and Mark Cochran the next, and Hayden Jackson, the last driver with a qualifying time, and indeed the last drivers. There are 19 Formula Vs.
full pace lap as well, so they'll have a fair bit of time to get their head around what's going on and get their head in the game. It's going to be a very, very interesting battle. As we said, 10 minutes for race 1, so that'll be a 5-lap race, and race 2 will be 20 minutes, likely a 10-minute race. As we said, they'll also need to splash in for a dash of fuel, and that could be the difference between winning and losing the race, because if you come out with no traffic and no one to help you, that could impact your ability to make it back to the front of the field.
The pit strategy does work very, very much like super speedway, where you want to have a drafting partner. You don't want to go it alone to pit lane, etc. And just a function of the drag and the horsepower of these cars. They've not got a lot. The tyre warming going on out there. Track temperature 27 Celsius, so it's probably warm enough for Europeans to be at the beach.
It's 23 degrees with the sun out, so I think that's more than
Warm
enough
enough
for most.
Victorians.
Hey. To be above at least 24. No way I'd be going to the beach today with how cold and wet it's been. Yeah, maybe if it was a bit warmer, I'd think about it. I have packed my poncho for tomorrow.
That's great.
Look, you've rubbed it in when you've been at racetracks before, but I have to take it when I do, because I don't get to go to the racetrack very often anymore.
Not since the incident.
I don't know what you're talking about, but I love it.
No idea either. So, for example, thinking in Formula One, they've got their Mercedes safety car this weekend. So there's only a 300 horsepower deficit between the pace car to the race cars. The opposite situation here. I believe that safety car would have at least 300 more horsepower than any of the race cars that follow it.
I was thinking it'd be around the 350 mark, wouldn't it? About 420 horsepower, that Porsche? Race car, anyway.
I thought the GT3s were really knocking down the door of 500 these days.
Yeah, probably right, and it's probably closer to that 400 plus mark.
One of the marks and models that like to understate it a little as well.
No, it's only 350 when it's really 500. It'd be a very, very fun race with the length of the front straight keeping everyone together, and then the tight mid-section of the lap. We should see a fair bit of side-by-side for a good majority of the lap, and it's going to be very, very entertaining the whole way through.
That's certainly some aggressive tyre warming there. It's a characteristic of these Vs, but they're very, very short wheelbase. A lot of engine braking, a lot of weight transfer off throttle. Very, very pointy off throttle. So tyre temperature important for the start of this race. Get on board with Hayden Veld. Got the itty bitty Formula V wheel in his hands.
Remember, rules for this series, they cannot go until the green flag flies, so they've got to be careful to make sure that they don't run away as soon as the pace car jumps into the lane. Yeah, waiting for the green flag to wave from Barney. Just noticed that Sean Lacey's also painted his helmet in MS Paint to make it look like Mario.
Yeah, nice. So there's the pit entry. Safety car makes a very aggressive unsignaled move across traffic, and the green flag waves immediately at that moment as well. Big checkup in that front half of the field, looking at 3 wide, looking for 4 wide. We've got 4 wide Formula Vs at Zandvoort, but it is still a fair start for your leader. 2 cars tangle. Oh, and we've lost 2 wicked wings there.
I don't think they've got wings, but it's Definitely disappointing to see. I think it's Reece Ashmore and Jason Muscat for the Century Motorsport crew, as Hilton Booth almost straight into the rear there of Seth Brown. That was incredibly close. We almost saw a bit of mashed yellow crayon.
Yeah, that would have left its mark, no doubt. Brady Buchanan still leading, Veldon second. You've got Brown and Lacey side by side for third there, but they're about to pull out side by side for the lead here. It's Hayden Veld sticks his nose into the lead of the race. Great run from that next lane behind as well to jump down the inside at that corner that I can't pronounce. Something like Skivlak, but great move by Veld and a great move by Seth Brown as well. And those two very rapidly leap themselves ahead of Brady Buchanan, who's now also been foxed by Sean Lacey. And into these flowing flip-flop hairpins we go.
Did a cough lolly or something for your throat there? It sounded like you had something stuck in it.
Yeah, the Dutch language.
Bad run there out of turn 9 for Hayden Veld, and Seth Brown's closed that gap up incredibly close very, very quickly. Front 5 starting to break away a tiny, tiny little bit, but you basically say... I was about to say the top 12 are all still together as Hilton Booth, Brady Buchanan facing the wrong way, recover very quickly, and back on they go.
Booth just right up the back of the 4th place car as they break down in there. Now, it's one of the Frog Leap Juice cars there. It's contact 1, flips it around and broadcastable at this time. That was quite a display.
If these were skippies,
Attenborough.
If these were skippies, you could say that's how Formula V's are made, but I don't think that's the case. And that was Jacques Swanepoel having a big lock up there and almost ending his own race, but unfortunately it ended the races of Muscat and Ashmore. Now this lead is well and truly on, and Seth Brown's finding himself in the perfect position right now. 3rd car in line, ready to pounce if a mistake happens. Just comfortable watching what's going on ahead.
I reckon things are going pretty well for 4th and 5th place Jason Benson, Sam Muir as well, because they've obviously picked up a couple of spots with all that's gone on, and Bence is still in touch with this slipstream. You're seeing 1st, 2nd and 3rd start to battle each other, start to drive a little defensively, and that's great to see when you're 4th place, because they are gaining time hand over fist, and it's about to be 5 cars up front. And then the next train is led by Liam Caplice with Adam Hill Motion, etc. in that group. So still wide open, even though this is just a 10-minute race number 1. Again, running 4th and 5th there, and whoopsies.
Yep. Definitely a whoopsie, as that was Hilton Booth making contact into the rear of Brady Buchanan. Good news is they've both continued on. They're a tiny little bit off the pace, but their pace isn't completely horrible, so they might be able to work themselves back into some sort of position, especially for race 2 with the reverse top 10 as well. So second race is definitely still up for grabs when we come into that with the mixed up grid.
Yeah, precisely. There's the field still pretty well compressed within 10 seconds or so up front. Riding plenty of that minefield of the inside of the curb for Adam Hill Motion, as he with Liam Caplice are looking at trying to catch the top 5 that have all compressed on each other with the power of the slipstream. There's your 3rd train moving around a little bit. Jacques Swanepoel defending from Brady Buchanan. Robert McGrath is the car on the outside as the 2 battle, and he now swaps back underneath in turn 1 to try to take a spot away from Buchanan. And then I think maybe he rolls out of it.
I think you decided no point trying to fight that, better to tuck in behind and then use the straight to your advantage. And they have to work smart. They can't just continue to fight and push each other around. If they do, they're going to lose even more ground. 2-second gap to the car ahead for Swanepoel. It is catchable, but they're going to have to work very, very cleverly together. Positive is that these guys are quite content and happy to go side by side, which will cost them time to the guys ahead, lose them time to the guys behind.
I think they're just battling it out for that 10th place at this point, which will be the reverse grid pole. They're also battling it out for 1st place right now, with Hayden Veld leading Seth Brown. And yeah, great little battle here as well. Oh, more cars round.
Paul Longworth and Mark Cochran. Oh, and Hayden Jackson gets onto the scene and just makes contact. Ouch.
Arriving a little late at the podium without an RSVP. This is Jason Bentz in fourth. That group, Muir, have caught the leaders, and Shell's got half a second, and watches that evaporates then through the final corners and then onto the pit straight, taking a look again at what happened. Wheels into lock and they're stuck together.
Oh. What I heard in real life, that impact.
I was watching one of Tony Quinn's videos recently about make sure you do your seatbelts up tight, and it's for stuff like that. There's a bit of wheel-to-wheel contact here between Hill Motion, Pat Gallo and Sam Batty. Hill Motion leading now. That's the two behind. Battle it out through the corner. That his old configuration had a little less banking, but still a couple corners here that you do hook into the groove and carry some speed with a little bit of banking. Look at a Formula V nose. So they're too wide in second place between Lacey and Brown. Bentz and Muir following the leader at the moment.
It looks like they're very content with letting Veld lead. They're getting close to him, and then they're not trying to fight too much to try and get past him. They're just letting him go, rolling out of the throttle, content to let him be the pace setter at the moment. I guess it's working because they've broken that gap now at 4.5, almost 5 seconds. With 1 lap to go when they cross the line, then they can start to fight and fight properly.
Battle groups in the Formula V. The wildcard round 3, past 2. 5 cars for the leader, 4 cars in the next pack, a couple cars behind that. This is the leading group. This is the next group.
Hill Motion's just lost himself 3 spots.
Yeah, and Caplice has kind of latched on with that as well. Gallo, I think, okay, cutting so much of the penultimate corner in pursuit of carrying speed, then out of the final corner and onto the pit straight. Or maybe a little in vain. They've got to duke it out though on just one more lap in race 1. And we take a top 10 invert into race number 2.
At the moment, Brady Buchanan has got himself back into the race by getting himself into that top 10, into 10th position right now. So what a recovery that would be if he can get himself reverse grid pole. It hasn't ruined the night of racing for him, because he's then in contention for the win in the next race too.
Absolutely 5 cars within 1 second, all with a chance of coming away with this first race win, and they're getting a little itchier to make a move on the leader, forcing Hayden Veld to defend. Lacey's looking around the outside. Brown in line will actually pull a spot away from Lacey, who ends up offline in the dirty stuff. Bentz is sniffing around, but they're too wide in front of him, and any move he makes would make it 3 wide. Lacey again, a little offline, a little in the dirty stuff, and all the time Hayden Veld is rubbing his hands and licking his lips, because it means that they're not following him, they're not hunting him, and they're losing time behind.
Yeah, he'll be very, very glad to see them battling it away as they are behind him. Seth Brown's broken a little bit of a gap. Now Lacey and Bentz side by side. So he'll be trying to get this spot here. Will Jason Bentz. Lacey has been quite aggressive through this section, so he's going to hold on to the spot. Only 2 corners left. Veld, it's his race to lose at the moment.
Sure is. He's got 4 tenths in his pocket, but there's a very strong slipstream from about here where you open the throttle, carry it flat through the final corner all the way to the timing line. So as Veld timed it, is he going to come away with the win here? Brown is closing. Barney's waiting with the checkered flag, and I reckon Veld's going to be safe. Brown will get second. Ooh, battle over third. I think Lacey
Pace has just got it.
Yeah, from Bence to Sam Muir. Buchanan's looking pretty good for that 10th place, but they're going to fight all the positions ahead of that between Matty Gallo, etc. Swanepoel and Robert McGrath over 14th and 15th, and they're both in the fence.
Yep, that's unfortunate to see. They were both wanting the same bit of road, and neither of them was giving an inch. Will he be able to get back to the line? He will, but will he lose a spot? I think he will.
Looks like Mark Cochran came through and took a spot away. Hayden Veld. Pretty happy with himself.
He should be. Great result. First of 2 races for the night.
Yeah, let's look at those results then. 5 laps in race number 1, and it's Hayden Veld from Seth Brown, Sean Lacey, Jason Bence, and Sam Muir as the leading group. Behind them, Sam Batye, Pat Gallo, Adam Hillmotion, Liam Caplice, those cars all together. Brady Buchanan finishes in 10th. With a clean air either side of him, and that means he's going to start on pole for the next race. In 11th, just missing out on the cherries, I guess. Hilton Booth, Reese Ashmore, Stu Brown, Jacques Swanepoel, Paul Longworth, Mark Cochran, Robert McGrath, bouncing it off the wall in the final corner, and Hayden Jackson, Jason Muscat. That's our finishing order from race 1.
It wasn't a bad race there. I mean, we had a couple of crazy incidents in the mid-pack, but for the most part, relatively clean. The style of racing you expect from these cars. Double the length for the next one, and we go and do it again.
Yeah, so we'll take a minute here on SimSpeed TV. When we come back, 20-minute race for Formula V's in the wildcard round of Simrigs.com Oz Pro Am Sim Series.
So you do like it? I love it, yeah.
Now when you go pre-owned, you can enjoy the same feeling you get with a new Toyota. Tested and backed by Toyota.
Upgrade your car, mate.
This? Yeah, no big deal.
Toyota certified. Pre-owned in a class of its own. Oh, what a feeling. Toyota.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Ready for race 2 now with our inverted top 10 Formula Vs in this wild card round. And that means Brady Buchanan has the pole from Liam Caplice, and they will be the front row. Row number 2 will have Adam Hill Motion and Pat Gallo, Sam Batty and Sam Muir on the next row, and then Jason Bentz and Sean Lacey. And first and second from race number 1 get dutifully rewarded with starting out of 9th and 10th. Seth Brown there. Got Hilton Booth and Reese Ashmore, Stu Brown and Jacques Swanepoel. What's written on the rear quarter? I've got to work that out. And Paul Longworth and Mark Cochran. 3 more cars are Robert McGrath, Hayden Jackson, Jason Muscat. We at 4 cars for the Colonel?
I think we got 4. I'm pretty sure it looked like 4. I could be completely wrong, but it does say on the back, you're talking about on those Colonel cars, it does say it's finger licking good.
Okay. Nothing much has changed in the weather, so that's good, I guess. If you're a fan of consistency, yeah, okay. That is the standard as it appears. But it's finger licking good, not something handwritten like Sean Lacey has. Brady Buchanan's kind of just puts him back very, very close to where he was race 1.
Yeah, I
He's
mean,
on pole twice, but with the top 10 invert, that's probably not how you'd want to do it.
no, you're right. And he had to do it the hard way, of course. Remember, he was back to, what, 14th or 15th after lap 2. So he had to do it the hard way to work his way back up. But getting himself back into that top 10, he'll be very, very happy that he got there. And now we'll try and continue on and try and break away from the field. But these guys in that group were battling quite hard and were able to work the side-by-side work as well. So don't be surprised if we see side-by-side all the way for the next few laps.
That was way crunchier than I was expecting. I'm looking at the grid from race number 1 then and seeing who's progressed well and gained as this has gone on. And for example, Caprice qualified 11th, raced into the top 10, now starts 2nd. Sam Battier qualified 17th, finished 6th, now starts 5th. So that's some really big forward motion through the field for Battier, and similar story for Pat Gallo. So there's a couple of cars inside of the top half of this grid. Really, really thankful for this top 10 invert. Pace car pulls away, and immediately the green flag gets dropped, and immediately that looks like Adam Hill motion trying to get down the inside, challenge for the race lead. Caprice still holds the inside towards the turn 1 hairpin, and Gallo trying to make some ground up around the outside. Guess that can work sometimes with the way the camber in the road is, but it has not worked out for Robert McGrath. We don't appear to have any Jason Bents for race number 2.
Oh, no.
Big issue there at turn number 4. They roll back onto the circuit. Buchanan has just not had things go his way in his races so far. Caprice leads from Gallo, from Murph, from Seth Brown, and that's our top 4. Little breakaway at the moment.
Sam Batty was involved in that too. Reese Ashmore, Robert McGrath, and obviously, as you said, Sean Lacey. Stuart Brown and Hill Motion off again as well. So this has been an absolute horror race for a few drivers.
They tangle wheels so easily in the Formula Vs, and it normally doesn't end well. So you don't want to do it. But we had it sort of all start at turn 4.
So Buchanan's reacted to the Hill Motion, and was that Batty that launched over the top of him there? That's just messy, wasn't it?
Now battling 2nd and 3rd. Seth Brown's down the inside here, looking to then pick up that slipstream off race leading Liam Caprice. Samuel also decides who he wants to go with, splits the middle, splits the difference, goes from 4th, potentially up into 2nd, but at this point it's all about who's following in line with the race leader, and it's actually the man on the outside, Sam Muir. Hayden Veld trying to catch them, which of course becomes more probable as they battle 3 wide in towards turn number 1. And then 2 wide off the exit.
And being 1.5 seconds back, he's probably just getting a little bit of draft, and straight away he's allowed Swanepoel through, which means he'll drop in behind, and now they're within half a second, within 2 corners. So the side-by-side battling of that lead group has brought this group from being a 4-car pack, now a 6-car pack, who have broken away from everyone else.
Stuff like this, Samuel having a look the inside of Cough Lollies. Not managing to complete the pass, still losing time, still battling side by side, bringing Swanepoel and Veld into the picture, maybe letting Caprice and Brown get away a little bit. 3 wide into the first right-handed hairpin, and there you have it, a little bit of that wheel-to-wheel contact. It sends Swanepoel and Veld a little wide.
So they're going to get away with it though, so they may be able to continue on without too much damage. They've still got 3 seconds of that group behind, but the front 2 are broken away with that squabbling that's been going on behind. Brown now and Caplice with about 1.5 seconds to Muir behind. Brown just has to tuck him behind here. No attempt to overtake. He does attempt to overtake. Needs to get it done very easily. If they go too wide, those guys behind will close in very, very quickly.
Yep, it's 1.4 seconds from Brown to Murr, which is pretty much exactly what the slipstream is. So behind, immediately looking for a leapfrog. Brown looking for the lead of the race. No defense at all offered from Caplice, and it's sort of 2 wide, 3 rows deep. The lead, and Brown is looking like quite tidily he'll go to the lead. Caplice in behind. Just looking to cut back again, and it all depends what happens over third place here, where Swanepoel is up from 14th on the grid into third. Already looking to close up some of that ground. Maybe a little closer to second place than we'd seen before. Could make something happen there, and this is Brady Buchanan, who's not had a single boring race.
So Robert McGrath there was the car that was a little loose, and then on the exit here, he just gets absolutely run over. Tries to get out of the way from Hill Motion, who he sees come up behind him, and didn't see the car there of Sean Lacey, and they make contact. Robert McGrath's decided to park the car. He's done for the night.
Of Pat Gallo, 53 of Hayden Veld. This is significantly slower than a supercart. Just looking to battle side by side. If you can get around the outside here, you get the inside to the hairpin, and that's exactly what Veld's gone and tried to do, and taking 5th away from Pat Gallo. Just to really try to focus on picking up the slipstream, the car in front, and not losing touch with Sam Muir, who's still on the back of Swanepoel, who's done a really, really strong job of trying to close up in first and second. There's what the steering rack looks like. Oh, hey, Dale's back there. He's watching from one of the access tunnels, and this is pit stop starting to play out then. Caplice going to be one of the first to stop, and the rest of the top 5, top 6 aren't in agreement with that. So he's all on his lonesome here for this at the moment.
That could hurt him, because if he's got no one to draft with, he's going to be out by himself. I mean, it's got big pros and big cons, hasn't it? Just see Pat Gallo's had an issue. He was in that group and he's just lost a whole heap of ground. So, yeah, I mean, there's the two different thinking around, or 2 different modes of thinking around being in a pack in this sort of race. In the draft, you might be able to find yourself some time, but if you're in a draft group, you can easily cost yourself time too. So, going to be interesting to see where he does come out when the pit stops are all ended, but he's still stopped, and this is a long stop for him. I don't know if this is how long it's supposed to be.
It doesn't seem right if it's just fuel. I mean, even...
Oh, he's got a black flag.
Even at Sean McKenzie's Formula V refueling rate, you'll get it done quicker.
Is that because you're helping refuel? I know you help with the oil, don't you? No comment? Okay.
But I learned that the speed in a siphon goes up by 40% with each doubling of the height of the top container.
Okay. That basic physics? I taught you that one? Or...
Chucked it at Google. It's the square root of 2 times gravity multiplied by the height difference between the top and the top container and the bottom of the siphon.
So you went said square root.
Couple drivers to the inside there that I thought were looking like they were going to go for pit entry, but they didn't. They're just trying to defend track position as we go 3 wide down towards turn number 1. Looks like Seth Brown all the way on the inside. Can't clear Jacques Swanepoel, who's trying to hold it around the outside. Good traction off the corner from Sam Muir, who's still got his nose in there. And they were briefly 3 wide. 2 wide didn't work on lap 1 through this section of track. 3 wide, definitely wouldn't. Still 2 wide for the lead of this one. Swanepoel goes around the outside of 3 for the inside of that bank turn 4. Doesn't get a great exit. Hayden Veld thinks better of going 3 wide in this part of the track. It's flat out, but a little blind and cuts back and forth amongst the dunes. 2 wide, 2 deep, no room for any extras, and Brown has the inside for this corner now. Could prove critical, but Swanepoel's giving nothing up whatsoever.
He's definitely not giving anything away at the moment. Seth Brown's having to work hard on the inside. Swanepoel on the outside. Sam Muir was the one that tried to make it 3 wide there for a second and then very quickly changed his mind. Decided, no, I better stick side by side here with Hayden Veld. While they're working hard in this group, they are still extending the gap to those behind. Means that pit stop for Liam Caplice has hurt him even more.
Caplice is a little lucky to be on the lead lap at the moment. But of course, get a bit closer when everyone else has to stop. He'll only be about half a lap behind.
Oh no.
Swanepoel and Muir. And Hayden Veld's lost a lot of time as well. Seth Brown is leading 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. Had a little bit of a catastrophe.
Had something go on for sure.
Brown's not interested in pitting, but Hayden Veld is. Muscat and Hilton Booth are then going to become 2nd and 3rd in a moment.
Anyone else in the lead group in?
Swanepoel hit the wall on the pit entry there.
Possibly has.
He's absolutely drilled some of the Armco going for pit entry. That's Hayden Veld going on with it. Adam Hill Motion in orange lane. Stu Brown is going for a little bit of drive-through. Oh, has a bit of a check-up in the left-handed hairpin. And loops it without contact initially, I think, but then he's stuck on the racing line and a little more comes. Buchanan and Cochrane flat out through that part of the track because no one is silly enough to use the chicane layout. Except for the one time that I raced on the chicane layout. That's what we're talking about. Getting a little bit hot. Try to needing to overslow it. Lock up one of the tyres and be unable to turn. So you did drill just a little bit of Armco.
Interesting to see how much that hampers him. Actually may have got a speeding in pit lane penalty too for crossing the line too fast with that lockup. So the fairly long stop for Swanepoel, about the same sort of time frame as we saw from Liam Caplice. So definitely has hampered him. We see Seth Brown in now. We've got half the field that has pitted, half still left to pit. And in he comes.
That's about how it should be done. Navigating the little chicane at pit entry. And all the rest of them follow. Muscat, Booth, Gallo, Muir, Longworth, Buchanan, and Cochrane.
Oh, Buchanan's hit the wall.
More the only other driver yet to pit.
Should be coming in now as well. Just behind him there, that's Hayden Veld.
So the rest of them have got to be out pretty quick if they're going to cover off Veld. I mean, his main competition was Swanepoel, wasn't it? Who's had a very long stop, had to serve about 40 seconds, like we think, of penalty. So Seth Brown and Hayden Veld absolutely neck and neck for the lead of the race, and then it's 8 seconds to the next car. So this looks like what it's going to come down to in the final 4 laps between Brown and Veld.
Just thinking out loud for a second here, I'm wondering if the penalty that we see those guys serving wasn't actually for speeding in the pits, but was for an unsafe pit entry for cutting that blend line too early. Potentially could have been what it was. But this battle has to be for the race win now, doesn't it? You can't see any of the other drivers catching up an 8+ second gap the two guys that have been punching out fastest laps of the race back and forth throughout the day.
It's funny how it's unsafe pit entry if you cross the white line, but it's not unsafe pit entry if you hit the Armco.
I think that's self-penalising then, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. I mean, it is unsafe, but also you've penalised yourself by smashing the wall. I was good at that penalty. That as in the self-penalising smashing pit wall.
There's a couple tracks where the pit entry is just a little strictly enforced as far as the white lines go. There's here, Red Bull Ring. Any others that are a bit famous for it?
Is Fuji one that's a bit aggressive with it as well? Okayama's one that's the opposite. Everyone slows down too early.
Correct. So if you ever needed to know, is that final corner absolutely flat out in a Formula V? Yes. Yes, it is. And so they're just going to have a little mock battle for the lead between Veld and Brown. You can see what will happen if they actually fight for too long. Booth, Muscat, and Muir aren't too far back, but they're having their own battle. They got 3 of the colours of the Wiggles here. Booth has the inside. And 3rd place at the moment as Muscat runs it up a little high and washes a little wide. They're going to play hot potato for the final step on the podium.
Pat Gallo's got the colours in the background. The next car along, so he's got the blue. The blue wiggle, is he? I don't know.
Well, if he's going to catch me, he needs to get a wiggle on.
Does. 2.5 seconds out. He's catchable though, isn't it? I mean, we see a bit of battling going on here. I mean, Sam Muir last lap was 2 seconds faster than these other two in the group. But, there is a potential that we could see Pat Gallo close in. Maybe even Brady Buchanan with 2 laps to go could catch up if this group battles hard enough.
Yeah, I mean, we saw an occasion earlier wherein, first and second decided they were going to go side by side over the top of the hill back there, through the next corner, side by side through here, and all of a sudden, 2-3 seconds wash away, and then the slipstream is super, super strong. If you catch it from about 1.5 seconds back, heading down towards turn 1, you can be absolutely on their tail by the end of the lap. It extends about 1.5 seconds back, and this looks like it gives you more than a second per lap if you get it. So 3 or 4 seconds can dissolve really, really quickly if you go side by side through consecutive corners in this style of racing.
Two to go at the line. Veld and Brown still continue on, much to the delight of Steve Myers and Dale Earnhardt Jr. They were quite happy watching that battle go past in the background.
Yeah, I mean, seen them on the yacht, they're pretty happy there. They're very happy to be in a Dutch tunnel, which sounds like a euphemism, but I mean it the completely straight bat. Hilton Booth looking to go around the outside there, looking to hold a good position in turn 1. Average of this pack about a 2-minute 2.1. So not catching the leaders and not really being caught by Pat Gallo.
Brown and Veld have...
yet.
No. Just about to say Brown and Veld have swapped positions, so they've changed order on this lap, which I think if you're smart about how you play it, you do want to change positions at the start of each lap, then maybe again through the midway point of the lap as well. But no change back for position, but Veld, I think, might be using this as a chance to see where he needs to be to start that final lap.
The question always, can you make the run from the last braking zone to get your nose in front of the line, or do you have to make the move a little earlier in the lap? It's right close at the moment. There you go. Lacey 12th. Stuart Brown 11th. Reece Ashmore there in 13th.
How good is this at the moment from Jason Muscat? Currently up 15 positions in this race. Had a shocker of a race 1, but he's made up for it in race 2.
They're absolutely side by side between first and second as they start the final lap, and Veld looked like he was in front, seeded that to Seth Brown. They're 3 wide for the cars behind.
Did Veld back out of that when he got to the braking zone to make sure he was behind to start this final lap?
I think so. No such consideration in this next pack as Sam Muir shoots through the middle to try to take away 3rd place from Hilton Booth, and Jason Muscat back into 5th. Now looking around the outside, backing out of it there. So gamesmanship for all inside of the top 5 on the final lap.
That's what we love about this series and this style of racing. Series is always bringing on some cool strategy games, and then this racing brings on strategy games of its own. So bring on the end of this race. It's on for the lead. It's on for 3rd. Neither positions will be settled until we get to the checkered flag, you feel.
Brown moving around big time, trying to block out Hayden Veld from sniping away a win on the final lap here, and Booth shoots down the middle, trying to take away a position from the purple wiggle, Sam Muir. Now into this series of hairpins. The inside could be the place to be. No momentum from Hilton Booth, and Muir is able to cover it off. Here comes Pat Gallo. He's within a second. It doesn't take much, but Muir has a big moment. He loses all of his momentum. Nothing in it up front either between Brown and Veld, who's looking to just time it out of the final corner if he can. Just a little bit of the curb. But he's trying to just set up Seth Brown to self-incriminate. Muscat dives in the middle. Muir might hold on. Gallo amongst it. 4-way fight for the final step of the podium. But it's flat chat for the leaders from here until the end. Brown in front. Veld pulls out, trying to get his Formula V nose in front. Bang in a little bit of wheels, and he does it. He's nose in front to take the win away in the final corner. Veld takes the win from Brown behind them. Muir's trying to hold on, but Hilton Booth in yellow has a big run, trying to pull out in time for the start-finish line. And Barney, and I think Booth has done it to take a podium position. So all spots on the podium changing between the final corner and Barney with the checkered flag.
Look at that gap between Booth and Muir, 7 thousandths of a second. Seth Brown to Hayden Veld, 23 thousandths of a second. Incredible battles all the way to the end. Well done to everyone, and Hayden Veld is absolutely tearing it up now. He's very, very happy with that result.
I can't tell if that smoke's coming off the tyres or the engine and gearbox, but yeah, he's leaving some smoke signals down there in turn 4. Timed that one to perfection. Obviously tested it out the previous lap around, like, is this going to work? It's creating chaos on the cool down lap. And air-cooled Formula Vs need a cool down lap. Have a look at the margins then. Hayden Veld and Seth Brown, 23 thousandths of a second. And Hilton Booth snatching it away by 7 thousandths of a second from Sam Muir. Jason Muscat and Pat Gallo couldn't snipe any spots at the end. He got in and amongst the fray. Buchanan, some great qualifying positions. Only gets a 10th and a 7th out of this one. Paul Longworth, Mark Cochran, and Adam Hill Motion, the top 10 in the 10-lap final race for Pass 2. Stuart Brown, Reece Ashmore, Jacques Swanepoel, Sean Lacey, Liam Caplice, a couple drivers with big penalties from improper pit procedure back there. And the first driver off the lead lap, Hayden Jackson, and then a retirement from Sam Battier and Robert McGrath. We saw a lot of that from turn 4 at the start of this race with a bit of chaos there. Well, we've got to figure out who made it super in that one, and we can't give it to everyone in the top 5.
No, but I've put forward my suggestion, so I'll let you...
No, I'm with that.
You with that? All right, I'll quickly make up the graphic, and we'll go to a break, and we'll announce it when we come back, I reckon.
Yeah, absolutely. So thanks to simrigs.com, Exodus Racing, Super Cheap Auto, Echuca Toyota, and Index Designs partners for this season of SimRigs.com Oz Pro-Am Sim Series. Quick break. When we come back, we're ready for the big boys in the Toyota GR86s, the Oz Pro-Am Sim Series, and also to announce who is getting a $20 Super Cheap Auto gift card for making it super in Pass 2.
So you do like it?
I love it, yeah.
Now when you go pre-owned, you can enjoy the same feeling you get with a new Toyota. Tested and backed by Toyota.
Upgrade your car, mate.
This? Yeah, no big deal.
Toyota certified. Pre-owned in a class of its own. Oh, what a feeling. Toyota.
We're ready for SimRigs.com Oz Pro-Am Sim Series, the Pro-Am division from Zandvoort round 3 in the Wildcard round. Let's wrap up a little bit of business from Pass 2 though, because there was a $20 Super Cheap Auto gift card on the line to someone that, in our opinion, made it super. We can tell you now.
When I click the right button, we can. Sorry.
Hopefully.
Sorry. You'd think I'd know what I'm doing by now, wouldn't you? There we go.
Come on, Jay. Here we are. Jason Muscat. $20 gift card raced from, I think, 19th on the grid, 17th on the grid, to a top 5. Absolutely mixing it up there. And
Almost got a podium too.
shame we don't have a look at his car, because I've been looking at what can you get with a $20 Super Cheap Auto gift card, and he can get himself 3 cans of SCA Heavy Duty Degreaser. If he's been eating at the Colonel's like his livery suggests, he might need that, because if you're looking to move stubborn grease, dirt and oil residue, yes, you'll want to reach for a can of SCA Heavy Duty Degreaser, which according to the website is $5.99. Looks like it'd do a great job on a great deal of things. But it'll be up to him to decide what he wants and what he'll get. Let's move on, because more racing to come here. SimRigs.com Oz Pro-Am Sim Series. The wildcard car for Pro-Am is the new Toyota GR86 Cup car. So it still slipstreams pretty heavily and delivers some great pack racing, but it has, first of all, a couple more radiators and a little more horsepower than the Formula V.
Yeah, it's got a couple more horses under the bonnet, doesn't it? It's going to be a little bit quicker of a race, but I think the action's going to be very, very similar, because they do love to draft, they do love to bump, they do love to rub wheels. I've seen some crazy things in regards to the way the cars bang off each other in certain racing, but I think it's going to be very, very entertaining to watch the whole way through this one. Ted Van Dal still sitting as an AM driver, but I can't see that lasting for too much longer after last week as well.
No, I reckon back-to-back outright wins probably should be enough for a promotion, but in this economy, who knows? So they are getting ready and gridding. And it's a big grid of 86s as well. Not only have they got more horsepower than a Formula V, there's more of them. I guess we'll look at that grid when we can.
Oh, that's not right.
And that would be an entertaining race. But that's not what we've got.
Let's try that again.
Fun as it would be, that is not our grid.
I knew I had to do something before that race. We lucky we've got a little bit of time.
I reckon P number 2 would definitely lead into turn number 1.
I reckon it might lap them a few times as well. We did say that the names were right, at least. That's a positive. Let's try this again. That looks better.
Sure does look believable. Lachlan Capel and Seb Vondel as a front row. Jeff Connell in all black and John Merritt. He's pretty happy to be in a Toyota. He's missing some of his yellow on that one, but he's got a great starting position. In a big field like this, I definitely want to start up front. Chaos is a guarantee, and you don't want to get tripped up in anything in the midfield if you've got the pace to avoid it in qualifying. Jordan Peter and Christopher Henn are 5th and 6th. Got Reese Keane and Brandon Levin 7th and 8th. Matt Bailey and Ben Holiday 9th and 10th on the grid. Tyson Broad, Colin Schwecke. Richard Brookfield and Sebastian Flock 13th and 14th. Whole field on their formation lap at the moment, and they are going to be a 2-wide rolling start again, sports car style. So there's Funslow and Fleming 15th and 16th on the grid. Brock Kelly has what's probably a very, very interesting livery that we can dive into a bit later on, and he shares that row with David Baz. Harry Lawrence and Daniel Webster, 19th and 20th. And Hamish Cleland is feeling very festive, and Nick Wood is feeling very safe on the job site. Sam Lehman, 23rd, and Luke Fitt in 24th. Scott Hasler and Jamie Blackman, 25th and 26th on the grid. Adam Jepson and Ben Jeffrey, 27th and 28th there. Keller Bellac, I'm sure is going to be either at the track or parked in front of the TV this weekend based on that livery. And Jeffrey Wang will start out of 30th place. Dale Carpenter and Steve Tonkin, 31st and 32nd. Jai Potts and Ian Jordan, 33rd and 34th. Glenn Riddle, not where I'd expect to see him. And then,
a long way back from where he should be, really, isn't it?
Yeah. 36 was Tony Baker. Those two, the only drivers who didn't have a lap time in practice. They set qualifying times, but I guess a lot further off the pace than you would expect out of what's normally a pretty damn close GR86 field. I mean, they race very closely together, but even in, sort of hot lapping, private closed qualifying, you expect the lap times to be pretty close. Just one of those cars where it's relatively straightforward to get 98% of the lap time, and then the last couple percent require a lot of technique or practice or feeling with the car. But even without that, you expect the lap times to be pretty close. It was 15 minutes of qualifying. This is 15 minutes of race 1 and 25 minutes of race 2. The fuel stop in race 2, so very much resembling what we've already seen in past 2, with a couple of extra minutes.
No inverts as well for this as well, so drivers are in all out and out sprints. Interesting the split between Pro and M as well. Two AM drivers within the top 17 only. So AM's definitely, for the most part, split between the pro drivers, and there's a true gap between them, except for 2 exceptions.
So they've left a lot of space to the pace car, knowing the green flag drops the minute, the second that Porsche turns right, which is now. Green flag out. Very, very dense field, and already we're looking 3 wide for the lead in this race. Jeff Connell's looking down the inside from the second row to try to take the lead away. Bit of biffing and barging in the background. And Jamie Blackman looks like he spins mostly out of the way. These cars are a bit of a handful on cold tyres as well, and there's a few more drivers a little slow in turn 1, but they should be able to take much more of a beating than the Formula V does. The other thing you notice is they take up a lot more space on the track than the Formula V does. There's another example of cold tyres. Harry Lawrence spins it off the track. No harm done to anyone else, but a lot of harm done to that Toyota 86. It's not a massive car, and suddenly Zandvoort looks like a very small track.
What a crazy start that was, and we'll pick up a replay of what happened soon enough. But, Harry Lawrence, who it was that had that spin before, have a look at how beaten up his car is. He's only got 3 wheels on the wagon. He's going to struggle to bring it back around to the pits without getting lapped here.
Yeah, he might go all right in right-handed corners, but left-handed corners are not going to happen quickly. Massive launch from the second row for Jeff Connell to go through and take the lead of the race. Fighting back here, what looks like Christopher Hen, Ben Holliday, Matt Bailey. Bailey's got a great run, carrying the spirit of Toto Wolff. Hen defends that spot down the inside of the first section of the corner to get to the inside of the next. Christmas will come at once for Hamish Cleland. Or not, he's off the road. Lead. This is Connell sneaking his way down the inside. A little bit of buffing and barging in the background there. Just a spin mostly out of the way. Concertina effect. It's the orange car comes back across.
That's Ben Jeffrey was that car that came back across.
Very easily just ricochet between the Armco in that section. It might
Oh,
just
no.
happen again. 3 wide on the way into turn 1, and 5 cars go for a loop. Adam Funslow has got a bit of damage on that car, and he's got a stripe on it that very much resembles Walkinshaw. He's Capel in second, following Jeff Connell at the lead. Flock's got damage on his Toyota now as well, and remember he was quite a strong qualifier. No, apparently he wasn't. Apparently he qualified 14th. He's going to drop further back in the field than that.
Three wheels that are working as well for him, isn't it?
Quite a bit of damage to the wheels on a few of the cars as they've gone into the Armco in places. Top 6 cars right here. Connell, Capel, Vandel, Merritt, Peter and Reese Keane.
This one's self-inflicted for Flock as well.
Oh, kind of, yeah. He checked up in front of him. He carries a lot of speed into there and has to avoid. Field of 86s delivers what you expect.
Oh,
Stuck his neck out there, didn't he?
I like what you did there. Kelly.
It's pretty low-hanging fruit, which is incidentally the toughest type of fruit for a giraffe to eat. Going for pit entry a couple of cars, and I suspect that's just due to the damage for Tyson Broad and Glenn Sato Riddle. I can't read them from this distance and at this speed. There's the trend. There's trend there for sure. From Brock Kelly in 18th, Ian Jordan, Caleb Bellack, Hamish Cleland, Adam Jepson group behind.
On the other side, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's the doors that gotta. I mean, it's obviously Gunther's on one and Wolf's on the other.
I think it was my dream to be in the Aldi catalogue.
I was tossing up, can I do the accent? And I realised no, so I didn't say anything.
No, I didn't even attempt it because I knew I couldn't do it.
If you pull it off, you'll look like a pack of rock stars.
I was almost going to attempt it, and I'm like, no, back out of it. I'm very glad I did.
There was not a lot to be gained and a lot to be lost from that manoeuvre. Side by side back here between Field and Fleming, is it?
That's Capel and Vandel.
Yeah, Capel and Vandel. Kind of letting Jeff Connell get away with the lead of the race a tiny bit, potentially. John Merritt fourth at the moment. Yeah, they use the whole width of the track, that's for sure. Capel's trying to defend that ground with the inside line in towards turn number one. Yeah, then lets Merritt in a little bit to bang doors with Vandel behind. Absolutely boxed in. Vandel has nowhere to go in this one. Hold on to third by the looks of it as Merritt backs out. Peter Reese Keane, 2 cars behind. And there goes Jeff Connell. Will they catch up with him again with 8 minutes left in this?
Now, we're not 100% sure, but we're fairly sure the drivers don't need to pit in this race. It'll only be race 2, but there is that chance that we could be completely wrong and they will need to come in, oh my goodness, in this race as well for a splash of fuel. Jepson, Funslow, Baker and Potts here, making an absolute meal of things out on track.
Swear I saw Capel actually lifting and coasting in towards turn number one. We were on board with Merritt, who suddenly started closing up a lot more right before the braking zone. So there might be a few of them maybe just managing it, because again, until you get a little bit into the race, sometimes there is some uncertainty about exactly how many laps you're going to cover in 15 minutes, depending on where you are when the green flag drops, what kind of pace the pack is doing at the start for that opening lap, how much time's lost with the traffic on the first 1 or 2 laps, and what kind of pace the leader's eventually able to do. Not great, could have been worse.
That's why we saw that pack come together.
Yep.
Explains a lot.
Now, here we go again over third place. John Merritt wants a bit of a go at Sebastian Vandel. Towards turn number one, Vandel breaks it a lot earlier. Maybe rolls it into that corner a little bit as well. Then just push on the exit. Oh, pushing too far. Ben Holiday in the background there was trying to close up the gap to these leaders. And he's gone a bit wide at one as he takes Christopher Hen and Matt Bailey along. But you can see they're the next group of cars just behind. Really could benefit from a little bit more battling inside of the top 6. Holiday in the blue and black drop back colours, and Reese Keane just ahead in 6th.
That's broken.
It's mighty crabbing.
So never a good sign, is it? Remember, he was involved in that incident we saw with... what was that he was involved with? That's Al Carpenter. A massive moment, and that's Hanzo out.
Almost don't know where to look. Hops going on. Connell 1.2 second lead. Capel, Merritt, Vandel there. Caleb Bellack could have taken the opportunity to zoom in while he was driving.
Sorry, I was concentrating on 3 things at once there.
That's out wide in the penultimate corner for Lachlan Cable, which will compromise his speed then through the final corner, which you'd expect is pretty flat out in a car like this. John Merritt has a massive amount of speed charging up towards him. We'll have to look around the outside if he's going to make any position, though. I reckon 3 more laps to go in this one. Connell leads second, third, and fourth. Battling it out. Tiny bit of contact, Merritt and Vandel there. That's how these cars race. All right. So it's just, you know, the classic.
I think the reaction on the side is the appropriate reaction for the spin.
Yeah. No, Caleb, no, this is so not right. Again, not doing the accent. We're going to keep some speed on air for a couple more years with this sort of, you know, restraint and avoiding.
I'm impressed that you have restrained yourself. I thought you were going to try it at least once.
Oh, the temptation is so strong. Jordan Peter right on board with in 5th at the moment. Himself and Van Dell and Reece Keane being kept in it all by the mistake we saw from Capel and then the very defensive driving display that he put up. Oh, that's not right for Van Dell. The car locks up a little bit almost, steps out wide in the left-handed hairpin. And Jordan Peter goes through. 2 laps to go at the end of this one. Don't see them catching Connell a great deal.
Connell's broken away, hasn't he? He's got a fairly substantial margin now, and he's just comfortable out there. But,
can you bump draft these things?
we have seen it in our series that we broadcast previously, but they can damage the front splitter if you're too aggressive in your bump drafting. So you can do it, but you've got to be careful about how you go about it.
1.9 second lead for Connell, and you saw a couple of those damaged cars sort of trickling out of pit lane. There could be some traffic potentially on these final 2 laps for the race leader. So that's for Ben Holiday, Matt Bailey, Christopher Henn looking around the outside of Colin Schwecke, looking to cut back underneath. Really, you want to be on the left-hand side, I think, as you get towards the hairpin here.
Actually had a big moment on the previous lap as Christopher Henn. Done a good job to keep it out of the wall, but he's gone full speedway spec and turned this into a 86 rally car as opposed to a race car. Oh, he's going again.
Oh. Tendency sometimes in the really quick corners though for the tyre and the suspension almost to fold over on itself. Should be a really grippy track at 21 Celsius as well as getting later into the Dutch evening. Again, not a euphemism.
Like your Dutch tunnel before.
It's also just straight back to access tunnel underneath one of the viewing hills or something.
Must be a good spot for those guys to stand there all day and watch the racing.
I reckon a solid breeze would come through there at Marshall Post 23. Starting the final lap of race 1, 2 second lead, over 2 second lead for Jeff Connell. He's walking away from it. And I reckon that gap's going to extend if they battle like they're shaping up to in the group behind, with John Merritt having a look at Lachlan Capel, Jordan Peter there, and we've seen Sebastian Vandel have his fair share of aggression and just hanging on in 6th. Seen a great deal of him, and Holiday 7th. Bailey. He ran a little wide exit of the hairpin there as well, so he might be out of this one on the final lap, but don't know who will finish 2nd, 3rd, and 4th at this point. Like you said, pure progressive grid from here into race number 2, so you want to gain a position or 2 if you can. You absolutely don't want to throw it all away.
Very easy for you to lose spots at the start of the race as well, so you want to make sure that you're up as high as you can to end this one to start the next one is Jordan Peter, who actually set the fastest lap of the race on the previous lap. He's pushing the limits right now, isn't he? He's trying hard to get John Merritt, but Merritt's doing a great job of holding his spot while also applying pressure to Lachlan Capel as well.
Yeah, only a few opportunities left to overtake, though. The remainder of this lap, not going to get that big slipstream out of the final corner that let some of the Formula V competitors pass. You don't get a mistake out of the guy in front. I think this is how they finish. Turn 1 really looks like the best opportunity to overtake, and it's too late because the checkered flag is waiting. Jeff Connell has the lead, 2.3 seconds over this group. John Merritt's going to give it a go. None of them going to catch Jeff Connell. Merritt find enough speed. No. Capable will hold on to that one. From Merritt, Peter, Varndell, Reese, Keane, Holiday, Bailey, Brookfield, and I think Schwecke is going to hold on to 10th here ahead of Christopher Henn.
Yeah, Henn, he'll be disappointed because he was on for a top 7 for that incident he had, so he ends up in 11th. It's not too bad a result in the end considering 36 starters, but would have been hoping for a much better night. Great drive from Jeff Connell to pick up the win though, and a great start to the night. Fantastic race 1.
Deceptively challenging car. Deceptively difficult to pass around here as well. Quite a narrow looking track once we scaled up to the Toyota GR86s. Jeff Connell's move then off the race start to take away the race lead ends up looking very inspired, and he managed that one to the race win in race number 1. Capel, Merritt, Peter, Varndell, Keane, Holiday, Bailey, Brookfield. Schwecke as the top 10, just outside of the top 10. Christopher Henn, Scott Hasler, Luke Fitt, Nick Wood, Daniel Webster, Daniel Fleming, Hamish Cleland, Ian Jordan, David Baz, and Jeffrey Wang. Who then was our AM winner?
That was Seb Varndell.
Oh, Varndell, yeah.
Yep, and then Ben Holiday in 2nd, and 3rd goes to Nick Wood.
It says on my timing screen who's pro and who's AM, and apparently I was blind to it. Because like my mind was just filtering it out because it wasn't driver names. Caleb Belak, Tyson Broad, Brandon Levin, Brock Kelly, Glenn Riddle, Tony Baker, Dry Potts, Steve Tonkin, Dale Carpenter, Sam Lehman. And last cars on the lead lap, Ben Jeffrey and Adam Jepson. Drivers we thought the leaders might catch did not end up happening. 1 lap back for Harry Lawrence and Jamie Blackman with the damage that they sustained. 2 laps back for Adam Funslow, and 5 for Sebastian Flock.
And confirmed that Flock has also decided to retire for the night as well. He's decided that he wasn't enjoying himself. He's got to work early in the morning, decided to make this a drop round and come back next week.
Yeah, he'll be starting from the very, very, very back of the grid for the race 2 that is coming up in a couple of minutes. We take a break here on SimSpeed TV because when we come back, 25-minute compulsory pit stop race in the wildcard round of AusPass.
you do like it.
I love it, yeah.
Now when you go pre-owned, you can enjoy the same feeling you get with a new Toyota. Tested and backed by Toyota.
Upgrade your car, mate.
This? Yeah, no big deal.
Toyota certified. Pre-owned in a class of its own. Oh, what a feeling. Toyota.
The feature race of Oz Pro Am Sim Series now. The grid set by the finishing results of the previous heat. It means Jeff Connell is on the front row with Lachlan Capel. Connell will have the inside line in towards the hairpin turn number 1. John Merritt and Jordan Peter will share the next row, and trust me, Jordan Peter will have headlights. Vandell and Reese Keane on row number 3, and Ben Holiday and Matt Bailey row number 4. Row number 5 we find Richard Brookfield and Colin Schwecke. Christopher Henn and Scott Hazeler on row 6, and Luke Fitt will also have some headlights, and Nick Wood shares the row with him. Daniel Webster and Daniel Fleming for an all Daniel row 8. Cleland and Jordan the row behind. One car all black, one car very, very festive. David Baz and Jeffrey Wang, an all very Toyota themed grid there, and Kelly Billack and Tyson Broad on row 11. Brandon Levin and Brock Kelly. Glenn Riddle did move up maybe a couple of spots in race number 1, not as many as you might have thought. And then Jai Potts is on that row with him. Tony Baker and Steve Tonkin. Dale Carpenter and Sam Lehman. Teammates on row 16 with Ben Jeffrey and Adam Jepson. Harry Lawrence and Jamie Blackman doesn't look well there.
That car looks a bit sick.
Couple of drivers starting a lot deeper in the field. due to incidents in race number 1. I guess the same is true of Adam Fonslow, and I don't think we're going to see Sebastian Flock from what I hear. So, looking at who's sort of out of place based on their pace. It's like Tyson Broad qualified 11th but finished 22nd in race 1, so he could come forward. Brandon Levin qualified 8th, finished 23rd. Jingle all the way. Meanwhile, Glenn Riddle qualified 35th, came forward to 25th. Start 25th and might gain a couple more spots again. And Harry Lawrence qualifying 19th, but with damage, finishing off the lead lap in 33rd. Another driver who could come through the field.
Luke Fitt and Scott Hasler both gained 13 and 11 spots in that race, so they've done very well in race 1 as well. So very short race. I mean, it was only 8 laps long, but still to gain that many spots, it's a pretty good effort.
Yeah, passing was pretty tough, wasn't it? I mean, in towards turn 1, clearly the best opportunity for these cars. Weren't seeing a whole lot into what they call the Audi S at the end of the back straight, section of track that we're just approaching on the formation lap now. Yeah, even in these cars, it proved a little challenging. All right, I've sorted the Super Cheap Auto website by what's on special, price low to high. And you can get 3 grams of Stanley Super Glue for 99 cents at the moment.
I'll be there tomorrow.
Yeah, mate.
Sell
So
some.
another $20 Super Cheap Auto gift card to give away at the end of this race to one of our Pro-Am competitors who, in our judgment, have made it super. So
Give us your thoughts in the YouTube chat as well. We're out.
yeah, we've got Ridge Rider Aluminium Torch 9 LED, $2. You get 10 of them.
You can never have enough flashlights, I don't reckon.
I mean, I reckon one in every drawer in the kitchen in case of power outage. Not a bad idea. We're about to go lights out at Zandvoort, though, because the pace car is in. The green flag is waving, and we saw a lot of positions early on change in race 1 in the run down towards turn number 1. But Connell, good start. He's defending that track position on the inside. Super deep maneuver around the outside from Lachlan Capel, trying to take it away because this is his best opportunity to go wheel to wheel with Connell at the moment. Clean for the rest of the field. A bit of 3 wide behind. Could very, very well end in tears. The track narrows up. The Armco gets closer, and there's a couple cars rubbing onto each other as we go into the hairpin. Contact is made, and cars into the wall. Bits falling off. Still 1 open lane, 2 open lanes down the inside on the banking for Ben Holiday and Reece Keane. Question: they are not off to a great race start. They've dropped to the very, very back of the field. Connell holds on to his lead. From Capel, Merritt, Peter and Vardell, your top 5 still run as they qualified. Matt Bailey's moved up into 6th. Scott Hasler, big positions gained, up into 7th. He has made a lot of hay off of that race start. Tonkin gets absolutely drilled at the previous corner, though. More dramas for the drivers on cold tyres on a very, very cold track.
Matt Bailey's also making positions as Daniel Webster, Jeffrey Wang both have a big spin. Glenn Riddell involved as well. Got away relatively unscathed, but very, very messy bit of racing there. Around the field still as it was. Capel has a little look up the inside, decides to back out of it.
Well, they saw if they don't do anything, Connell might just run away with it all again. And they know with the compulsory pit stop in this race that's a pretty strong suit of Jeff Connell, as well as the fuel numbers, the fuel strategy, the fuel burn. Nick Wood, it depends which foot is twitchy. He's in 13th place behind Daniel Fleming. Brock Kelly, am I seeing this correctly? In 1 lap, 14 positions gained. Big maneuver there. Big mover from Capel, trying to look down the inside again, just trying to fill up the mirrors of Jeff Connell. But again, just not looking close enough to be able to outbrake him in any way. And I think you saw Merritt 3rd in line there. pull out of the slipstream a bit on the pit straight as well.
Yeah, confirming up 14. That's incredible.
It sure is, and still in place to maybe hook onto the slipstream of the next car. Not out of touch with the leaders whatsoever. That one. Dale Carpenter, Harry Lawrence behind. Leaders changed. Connell back into second place.
Maple goes through, has a couple of technical issues as well, but probably learnt a lot from that first race as well. So we'll see what he can do now that he's got the lead, as Merritt has to defend from Vandal, who's being quite aggressive out there at the moment too. So there's some great battling and great fighting going on out there.
The switcheroo looking down the inside of John Merritt. Sebastian Vandal has the nose there going into the right-hander. Gets a little bit of air across the curb and manages to get all the way ahead before the track flicks back into the hairpin left-hander. That's the challenge of passing there, is you never know if you really want to take the inside or the outside of the right-hander, because it's the left-hander on the exit that matters the most. Driver's gone out wide and kicking up the dust there. Brandon Levin. Great livery. Is clearly calling that a BRZ instead, but not going great. He was around there. Lachlan Capel picks up the fastest lap of the race, which is
not anymore.
Hard. Oh, Merritt manages to not get hit, but loses all of the speed, all of the momentum, and drops back into the next section of the pack as the lead has kind of, it was all closing up. Gaps between the leading pack and the next absorbed.
Kelly just set the fastest lap of the race as well, so he's now plus 15, getting past Merritt as well. 2 laps, 15 spots. I mean, it sounds impressive, but I think that 14 on 1 lap is even more impressive. And will we potentially consider that super? Maybe.
Oh, it's pretty super for the moment, but there's a lot to still play out in this main race as far as the pit stops go. As far as the pit entry goes, which we saw was challenging in the little Formula Vs, and these GR86s are a bit more car to deal with than that even. A lot more congestion out on track. It's a dive to the inside of the right-hander. Then it's a left-hander next up, so we see another bit of side-by-side here with Richard Brookfield, I think eventually defending that position. Oh dear, behind them. Who's that? Bellax, the car with the damage.
Bus and Broad's a drop bear car with 3 wheels that are working, yep.
Turns very well to the left, that car now, though.
Does. Issue is there's a couple more right-handers than there are left-handers here.
Yeah, there's one nicely banked left-hander, though, so...
They've already passed that, though.
Ah, shame. By the count, 10 laps to go with 19 minutes left in this race. Lachlan Capel 1.2 seconds ahead of Vandal, who did get a slipstream down the pit straight there, close up a 10th or 2 on the race leader. Someone went very, very wide. Connell going really wide at turn number 1. Losing a chunk of time, falling back into the grips of Jordan Peter Scott Hazeler. Okay. And 4 cars taken out of the race from that.
The uncharacteristic from Connell, I mean, he's dropped from 1st to 4th. Matt Bailey's up 5 spots, now also has the fastest lap of the race and into 3rd. Hasler's up 6, and Brock Kelly's up 16. These guys are making it hard for us to try and potentially make a decision here, aren't they?
Yep.
Just one of you decide to do something and not all of you, because we've only got 1 voucher to give away.
Yeah, sorry, there's only room for 1 star in the spotlight. I'm trying to find something exactly $20 on this website, Jay. Okay, I sorted low to high and I've scrolled far enough. lead closing up again still, and well, it's close just about everywhere. 8/10 for the lead. Capel and Vandel maybe getting away from the rest of the field, but then it's Jeff Connell in fourth here, who has an almighty Toyota train behind him.
Big train of cars. John Merritt back of that 13th position. Remember, he was in the top 3. As here comes, is that Nick Wood? Is it up? Vandel sets a fastest lap of the race.
So got to be careful on that pit entry. Curious to then see how much fuel Nick Wood ends up taking. I think Dale Carpenter also.
Carpenter's got a black flag.
Uh-oh.
I'm wondering if that's exactly what we were talking about earlier. Around the pit entrance. Looks like he might have been just going too fast.
What is pit lane's speed limit here? 60 kilometers an hour. So one of the slower ones, given that on iRacing, it's 72 kilometers an hour at Phillip Island. Yeah, that would. That just
at that point there, he's doing 70 k's an hour.
So it'll be 1 demerit point and $150.
Depends on what state you're in, but yeah, more than likely. Hasler up another spot, so he's into the top 5 now. This is a very, very good drive in that number 2.
Yeah, now right behind Jeff Connell. Big old fuel save from Jordan Peter there. There's a bit going on. Bit of contact made. Christopher Henn in the ILEC car. It says Henny in his number plate area on the rear bumper panel.
I can add nicknames into this overlay set now, so maybe we'll have to do that. Oh no.
Sam Lehman and someone have tangled.
Tony Baker. Oh!
There's a reason that the Space Saver spare is only rated for 80Ks.
I think even with the Space Saver, you're doing too much with that one.
This is our leading pair, Capel and Vandel. Matt Bagley's 2 seconds behind them, then 3 seconds behind that, one finds Jeff Connell, who looked $1 million in race number 1 and has not so far in race number 2, it must be said.
Out of the cars that have pitted, we're seeing between 5 and 7 seconds of fuel put into the car, so that's about what we're looking at for pit stop time.
Obviously pitting because of the damage. That thing's crabbing pretty badly, and the front left toe is many degrees in on that. One of the ILEC cars in the train here behind Conroy, a bit deeper back. Maybe a bit too much curb, a big sliding moment from Jordan Peter, loses all the momentum and is an absolute freight train down the inside of him here. In 1999, we'll get you a Thermos brand Thermo Cafe 450ml travel mug.
I need a new travel mug. I haven't got a good quality one anymore. Mine broke. I need a good keep cup. So a good travel mug to use as a keep cup, I think might be a good purchase. I might head to Super Cheap.
It's interesting as I scroll the amount of things I come across that I didn't know they sold. But all your typical things are there. Your degreasers, your headlight bulbs, but, travel mug, Thermos brand. I think that's one of those products where name brand versus not is actually going to have a difference as to does your beverage stay warm for 30 minutes or versus an hour?
You're like me, you like it that hot that you feel like you're going to burn yourself anyway. So, yeah, I might have to get one. Might head off to Super Cheap and get myself one over the weekend.
Best of all, the Thermo Cafe travel mug is designed to fit into most automotive cup holders. So that's good. So that's one of the products I found that's $19.99. So if you're all about, you know, maximizing that gift card, that's one of the options. Close again for the leaders here. We have at this point seen about 15 of the 35 car field hit. I think we're a bit closer to some of them making that decision. Potentially Vondel all over the back of Capel here.
Interesting the gap that those front three have been able to pull on everyone else. Like Jeff Connell, we know he's on the fuel save, no surprise. Will he be able to save enough for the full race? Don't know, but the gap between the top two of Capel and Vondel with Matt Bailey coming along with them, and back to Hasler, Connell, Kelly, Brookfield, that's a fairly substantial gap at the moment. It's out to, what, 5 seconds between third and fourth.
Yeah, no one had the pace for Connell in race number 1 here. A couple times he's sort of lacked the poise or the consistency, and we are seeing very short pit stops as well, so it's not like going to be able to pull out a Hail Mary on that, I wouldn't think. I'll give us an onboard, Jay. I need to know. All right, we've got shift lights on the dash. That's... Oh. Just to the Audi hairpin, as that sun is not far away from setting. Up.
Yep.
Oh. Oh. Oh boy, he's letting a whole heap of cars get closer as well with that.
It thickens here. It's going to be an interesting phase of the race.
There's no way, right? Like, how much fuel is 5 seconds of fuel?
I don't know. I honestly couldn't tell you. I've seen that Nick Wood has got past Glenn Riddell and also Daniel Webster, so we've just given up a bit of time. Webster's lost a lot of ground on this lap, so let's see if we can work out exactly what's happened, but he's losing a fair bit of time.
The microscopic gap between the race leaders at the moment. Daniel Webster pits, so for the 35, this is how it started. That goes wide, that's on the grass, that's sideways, that's an Armco, and yeah, he goes nice.
Explains why he lost about 12 seconds. Hasler now applying a lot of pressure to Jeff Connell. Actually, Connell's got back through, hasn't he?
Yeah. You know, on one hand, I love when we don't know what's going to happen. On the other hand, it does make me slightly uncomfortable.
Thinking back to Sebring. No, what was it? Sonoma. Well, that explains why Hasler lost that spot.
Sure does. So Connell's back to leading the train with Hasler, Brookfield, Luke Fitt, Brock, Kelly, and Daniel Fleming. Christopher Henn has dropped off the back as the last car inside of the top 10 at the moment. Of all the drivers that have stopped and we reckon have taken enough fuel, it's Nick Wood in 17th, who I think is the highest running of the pitted cars, but You look at where he is here behind Jai Potts and Ben Jeffrey, and you understand why drivers don't want to pit too early and end up in traffic, because for all of his pace, he's not really able to show it at the moment behind Ben Jeffrey, whose last lap was a 157, compared to Nick Wood's personal best lap of a 154. So, this is... Where is this?
This is Richard Brookfield getting past Scott Hasler for 5th position. So Hasler's lost 2 spots in 2 laps. From his great bit of driving earlier, he's now dropping back through the field.
Second guess myself because I mistook Luke Fitt there for Reese Keane, who was in a similar position on track until lap 1. So yeah, Brookfield finding his feet. Hassler starting to struggle a little bit potentially. Board here with Luke Fitt. And he has a big dive down the inside. Got a much better run through the previous corner, but again, you've got to get all the way down the inside in that hairpin, which he didn't manage to do, and now goes back the other way. He's looking to cross back over underneath once again. The Audi S, where we have seen a little bit of passing take place, a lot of curb here that we need to be careful about exactly how much curb they take. We've seen it be unsettling to these cars before, particularly if the rear suspension gets a little bit of a hop going. No pit stop from Capel or Vandel with 5 and some minutes to go. Will be 3 more laps. Daniel Fleming. It is. So he's pitting with 3 to go. So that suggests that the leaders, at least...
They're not 100% safe, are they? They're not 100% safe here.
No.
And I can't see, if the leaders are pitting with 2 to go, I can't see Jeff Connell saving an extra 2 laps of fuel.
Really, you can't? Like, because I can close my eyes and I can picture it. I don't see it being a great probability, but it's not beyond the realms of my imagination.
If anyone can do it, it would be him, with Ross Rizzo not here, so that would be the only driver I could think of that's in the field that may be able to do it. We've seen him do it before, but you're right, it's operation improbable, but it's not operation impossible.
Still lead. Bailey not far behind them. The gap from 4th though keeps increasing.
Connell's definitely checking the field up, isn't he?
Yeah, drastic difference in pace from race 1 to race 2, and I've got my suspicious alarm bells ringing all of a sudden now as we're about to approach 2 laps to go in this one. Gotta watch pit entry like a hawk this time around. Capel going for it. Van Del's got one more. That Bailey doesn't. Big thinkies. Big thinkies on this one. Really surprised to see Jeff Connell keep going. Snake into pit entry. It's a little messy. Kelly keeps going.
So Kelly's now at 21 positions. If he can hold out and survive these 2 laps, he will be up more than 20 positions in this race.
Oh boy. And Lachlan Capel, 3.9 seconds of fuel. Bailey, 4.2. Field, 4.6. So... either we're going to have drivers running out of fuel again, or we're going to have drivers pitting coming to the white flag, or a couple of drivers who've really saved.
I reckon we're going to have all 3.
I reckon we've got enough drivers still out there, your top 7 who haven't stopped, that we could have 1 driver in each basket.
Yeah, I think so. I think we're going to see Vandal in this lap. Connell's going to try and go for it, and Brock Kelly might be the one to Bradbury and win the race. probably well and truly wrong, but if we're going to see any result to come out of this with a bit of a surprise, I would think that would be the coolest one to have.
And in my basket, I'd also have a Quadlock Universal Adapter QLA Uni 3 1999 super cheap auto. It's got 3 5-star reviews on it, as you see Sebastian Vandel coming to pit lane.
There's still 2 more laps, so we were thinking it was going to be last lap this time, but it's still going to be 2. Because Vandel hadn't pitted.
He stayed out. It didn't trigger the sequence to...
Correct. So Connell...
Previous lap, it would have... Yeah, okay.
So Connell now is still going to have to do 2 more laps. You notice Barney is not waving the white flags. This just played right back into the hands. And I think Jeff Connell knows it. Played right in the hands of Lachlan Capel, who is now finding himself in a great position to steal this race. As just behind him there comes Vandel. But
Capel's got a bunch of drivers in front of him who haven't stopped yet. And
yeah.
A few of them are looking very, very...
Christopher Head's on the big clutch and say, isn't he?
Not ideal for Capel, but he's still the leading car to have taken any fuel, and obviously by the pace of those in front of him, they're either going to run out or have to stop again.
I'm drafting, you're asking about earlier?
Yeah, there it is. Look at how early the drivers in front have got to roll out. It's like they're in a different car. It's like they're in a different class. Vandel goes, oh, I guess I got to pass you guys. And he also gets past Jordan Peter. So we've got Connell, Kelly, Merritt, Peter, and Hen who haven't stopped. And then much, much deeper in the field, we've got Glencito Riddle and Brandon Levin as well. So, wow.
We've got 5 cars in the entire field that haven't pitted.
And you're exactly right. If Vandel had pitted the same lap as Capel, then they both would have lost, that 20 seconds or so. Then the next time they came around, because they would have been further back, Barney would have waved the white flag.
Yep.
Because of that extra lap Vandel stayed out, Barney was like, no, I can't wave the white flag yet. There's still over 2 minutes on the clock.
Yep.
Interesting, because when the white flag waves, kind of gets decided the lap beforehand as well.
Yep. So even though
we don't see anything of it.
Yeah, so even though the clock's on 0, Barney's only just waving the white flag now because the lap previous, Barney couldn't wave the white flag because there's still over 2 minutes on the clock.
Jeff Connell stays out. Kelly, Merritt, Hen go for pit lane.
Jordan Peter stayed out too.
Yeah, I know. Jordan Peter stayed out. So that last lap for Jeff Connell, 2 seconds off his best. And I wonder what this final one's going to look like as well, because as you watch the timing, every single corner, Capel seems to pull 3/10, 4/10 out of Jeff Connell. Can he pull 7 seconds out of him on the final lap? I think he's going to pull 2 or 3 seconds at a minimum out of Connell here. It's real cat and mouse in every single braking zone that Jeff Connell gets to. You are going to see Capel pull. Yep. Yeah, Capel travels through the braking zone that Connell had already lifted out for and gains 2/10.
Look, first sector on
another half a second.
Yeah, first sector in that timing, you can see he's gained a second. The first third of the lap, but this section here, Vandel could ruin this though.
Vandel took 6 seconds of fuel and Capel took 3.9, so I wonder if Vandel's actually got a little bit more as well here for this final lap. The two of them are going side by side, and is this what they need? Is it what they need? Jeff Connell is a wounded gazelle, 5.5 seconds up the road. Did Capel give him a little flash of the headlight? For whatever that means. Down to 5 seconds, down to 4.5 seconds. It's tumbling, and they are rushing towards Jeff Connell, who's desperately trying to limp to the line. What's he got left? What has he got left? It's down to 4 seconds. It was almost 8 seconds at the start of this lap, and Connell just desperately needs to get drive off the final corner and towards the checkered flag. He's got enough momentum now that they surely can't catch him. He pulls it off.
Wow.
Pulls off the no stop, and in the end, it's a winning margin of about 4 seconds.
Battle all the way to the line for 4th between Scott Hasler, Daniel Fleming, good behind, but Hasler finishes in 4th in the end. Great drive from him.
What about Jordan Peter also trying to pull off that same strategy? He's made it to the line.
Which is 8th.
Yeah. So yeah, he pulled off the same as Connell for an 8th place.
Oh, there's the car out of fuel.
Sure is. Rail gets to the line in 19th. There's no jump out there in turn 1. What are you guys aiming for? Well. What a bizarre fuel strategy race at the end there. Went 1 lap extra. Jeff Connell still winning from Seb Vondel, Lachlan Capel, Scott Hasler, Daniel Fleming, Nick Wood, John Merritt. Jordan Peter had no fuel at the end, but just ahead of Brock Kelly, who gained 15 positions in that one, and Matt Bailey completing the top 10. Christopher Henn, Ian Jordan, Harry Lawrence, Brandon Levin, Richard Brookfield, Luke Fitt, Colin Schwecke, Hamish Cleland, Glenn Riddell went no stop as well, and was absolutely out by the end of that one. Just ahead of Ben Jeffrey completing the top half of the field. Daniel Webster, Jeffrey Wang, Ben Holiday, Jai Potts, Adam Fonzo, Reese Keane, Dale Carpenter, Sam Lehman, David Baz, and Steve Tonkin to 30th place. Believe Ben Holiday stopped twice and might have been for speeding on pit lane or an unsafe exit or something. And Jamie Blackman, last car on the lead lap. Tony Baker 1 lap down. Jepson 2. Caleb Bellack and Tyson Broad kind of retiring after significant damage in their race. We'll find some of our drivers now. Nice sunset over the beaches from now on there, and our drivers are with us and ready. And I'm a fan of going up the podium as we go, so I'm going to grab Lachlan Capel and ask his thoughts on what was a slightly odd finish to the race from our perspective. Were you expecting how that played out?
Yes. Being honest, straight from the get-go, as soon as I saw Jeff pull the clutch at the top of the hill, I knew it was I knew what he was doing, and my goal, as you probably saw in the first 2 laps, was to try and bomb him at any point, because I just didn't want to really deal with sitting behind fuel saving for the day. So I pushed, I did what I could. Yeah, look, not necessarily great that someone can only get by me by bombing me from 3 car lengths back and making me turn out the corner, but you know, look, it is what it is. I just have to kind of get used to driving around those types of people, and I'm sure I'll get used to it as the season goes on. But yeah, other than that, it was a pretty good race and pretty good battle, especially at the race 1.
How about the GR86 for a wild card car then? Are you gonna miss it or be happy to see it go when we go back to the GT3s?
I very much enjoyed this car when we did AOG, an AOG championship. I very much enjoyed it. Came only second to Bo, so it was pretty interesting. However, the baseline set's a bit wobbly because it's only got it's got 1 TC instead of 0, so it's a bit harder to control. But I wouldn't mind switching back into the GT3s back in my little home comfy land.
Kiddo, well, congrats. 3rd in the feature race and 2nd in race number 1. A reasonable points haul for you.
Yeah, pretty happy. I mean, took the qual, but I just didn't seem to have that same qual pace I did in the race. I think I was struggling generally a little bit with the turn of the car in some of the corners. Was just kind of ploughing. But yeah, look, I'll take this result and move on to next week. I mean, 2nd and 3rd still on the podium, still good, decent points haul, and I'll be pretty happy to walk away with that.
Cool as. See you next week.
See you next week.
What a enthusiastic young man, Lachlan Capel. Second and third in race 1 and race 2. Our AM winner, once again, Sebastian Vandel, will join us now. AM win for you again. Congrats.
Yeah, thank you. It was a good race there with Lockie in the feature, but I don't know how Jeff does it, but he seemed to save enough fuel to go the whole race without a stop.
Certainly was a conflict of strategies there. You were sort of split between Capel and Connell on that as well.
Yeah, definitely. I was trying to save a bit behind Lockie, which I did, and then I overfueled a bit in the pit stop. But I thought there was a compulsory pit stop, so I didn't try to attempt to save enough fuel to go the whole race without a stop. But congrats to Jeff, because that was a good race.
Thoughts on if you'll still be an AM category driver this time next week?
I mean, I hope I get moved up to pro.
Not really going to change much for you, is it?
No, not really. I just think it'd be good fun to battle for the championship up there with hopefully Lockie and Jeff and all that. But yeah, we'll see what happens.
What about Zandvoort? Obviously, we've got sort of the older spec of it here on iRacing with still a bit of banking, but not as much as they've managed to turn in of late. A bit narrow for these cars, or how did it go?
These cars actually suited this track quite well, I think. The banking's definitely good fun. Trying to just carry as much speed as you can. Yeah, carry the momentum out of the corners, and the draft around here was very strong, and that may contributed towards the close racing that we had tonight.
Well, we'll hopefully see you back in the GT3s next week.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm not sure what track it is, but we'll get some laps in of practice and see if we can hopefully be at the front again.
See you then.
See ya. Cheers.
Of course, we're going to Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, Montreal next week. So that'll be a good one. But our back-to-back race winner, clearing out both races, Jeff Connell, well done to you, sir.
Yeah, thanks. Good fun. I like these cars.
It was a very, very Jeff Connell strategy to take the win in race number 2, not without its risks as well. Presumably something you'd sussed out earlier because it required you committing very early.
Yeah, committed straight away. But the maths side of that's not really risky because you know the number you've got to hit, but the risky part is when you're backing off that early, not to get smashed into by someone. So I was just lucky there was rarely like a freight train of cars that could all come through at once. So when there was someone close and I backed off early, it was easy for just that one car to go past me rather than a couple of cars try and lunge me and crash into me. So yeah, that I got lucky with that side of it.
I mean, I don't know what to tell you. Clean sweeping at Zandvoort's got to be a pretty good feeling.
Yeah, never expected that. Like I was surprised there was no invert because that's always most of the fun. So that was a little bit disappointing, but in the end it probably helped me. So no use complaining about it. So yeah, never expected to clean sweep. So that's good. I'm better in these cars than the GT3, so I needed those points once to get it. I'm struggling pretty bad.
Didn't clean sweep the qualifying though, starting from third inside of the second row. Really, really bold move on the first lap of that first race.
Yeah, I had to. Like at the end of the outlap, everyone slowed down a little bit just to leave a bit of space, and that Adam Funzo guy just comes screaming past heaps of us and basically parked in front of me, and then parked in front of me on my good lap. So after that, and then I stuffed up a few other laps in qualifying. So yeah, I wanted to get a good start, and I got lucky with that too. Like I bounced off the wall, but when we were 3 wide on the straight, but somehow didn't get any damage. So sometimes it's better to be lucky than good.
Interesting. Well, best of luck to you next week at Montreal, back in that back in that Porsche.
Yeah, thanks. I'll need it. It's a tough track, smashing those ripple strips in a GT3. So, yeah, I'm struggling in that enough as it is, let alone throw all those chicanes in. So it'll be tough. But, yeah, it's awesome fun. I'm enjoying it, having fun. So it's good. It's the best series.
Sweet as. See you around.
Cheers.
One last order of business is who made it super in Oz Pro-Am, and what Kelly. Jay, how many positions did you gain on lap 1 of
14 on lap 1?
14. My goodness. So $20 gift card heading Brock Kelly's way for making it super in race 2. And he still got away with a reasonable result in that one as well. Lastly, I've just been looking again at what 1999 will get me, and I've got all sorts of head unit specific wirings, and that's about it in that price bracket. Auto Glim interior shampoo 500ml. That would do the trick. Thanks for joining us on SimSpeed TV for simrigs.com Oz Pro-Am Sim Series, and thanks to series partners simrigs.com, Exodus Racing, Super Cheap Auto, Echuca Toyota, and Index Designs. Back in the GT3 cars for a more traditional round this time next week at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, Montreal. Hope you'll join us then.
So you do like it? I love it. Yeah.
Now when you go pre-owned, you can enjoy the same feeling you get with a new Toyota. Tested and backed by Toyota.
Upgrade your car, mate. This? Yeah, no big deal.
Toyota certified. Pre-owned in a class of its own. Oh, what a feeling. Toyota.